All right, so in today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about 5 upcoming rookies in the 2024 class that I don't really hear anyone talking about at all. And I think all 5 of them could be serious fantasy contributors. You can call this deep sleepers, you can call this rookies rising up your rankings. Either way, I'm getting really excited about these 5 names, and I think we could finally have some real solidified sleepers here. Do me a massive favor. Go ahead and smash that like button if you want to show some love. Subscribe if you like the channel. You can see at the moment, less than 50% of the people who watch our channel are actually subscribed. So do us a favor and help grow the channel there. The first player I'm going to tell you guys about today, and keep this on the low, okay? Don't tell too many people about this name. We want a real deep gem sleeper. But if you love Bucky Irving and if you love Marshawn Lloyd, just like myself, those PPR dynamic backs, I'm going to give you my discounted version of those 2 players with this next take. That is Memphis's Blake Watson. Yes, I think he's a serious sleeper that people, need to get on their radars, if you will. He's my RB9 in my rankings. He definitely was rising up my rankings after I scouted him as we prepare for V3 of our rookie report. Dead set, easily my favorite player I scouted this round. 100%. Blake Watson, last year, 1,634 all-purpose yards. He was a dual threat back, averaging 6 yards per attempt, and had 17 total touchdowns. This is a huge receiving threat out of the backfield. Memphis, and I'm not comparing him to this player, okay, but Memphis used him very similarly to how Austin Eckler was used in the Chargers offense over the last 3 or 4 years. Not someone who lines up as a receiver very often, but someone who runs a ton of receiving routes, who's very involved out of the backfield, design screens, check downs, just a dynamic player that they wanted to get the ball in his hands in 2023. He is one of 2 players in college football with 50 receptions last year. The only other player who had over 50 receptions, Bucky Irving. And by the way, that's out of 531 running backs who were charted in PFF's database. He is one of 2 with at least 50 receptions, some serious receiving upside. He had 320 snaps where he ran a receiving route. That is second only to Bucky Irving. By the way, 50.1% of his total snaps in this offense, he was running a receiving route. A dynamic pass-catching threat. Last year, 53 receptions on 60 targets, 483 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. The year before at Old Dominion, 37 for 314 and 2 tuds. He is a serious threat in the air, and I think that's going to translate to the NFL. We're talking about a guy who is a dual threat player. There is some upper tier elusiveness here. He is a play extender. Very rarely did I find that Blake Watson was brought down by the first man that made contact with him. He has great elusiveness and great strength, which is kind of showcased by his elusive rating, which was 111.6 according to PFF, and his yards after contact per attempt, which was a respectable 3.74, which ranked 34th out of running backs who had at least 100 attempts this year. That's very impressive for his size. You don't expect a guy at 5'9", 195 to have over 3.7 yards after contact per attempt. That's a very good number. He forced 50 missed tackles. He plays way above his weight. Despite being listed at 195, he plays like he's 220. I mean, he's got some real strength, some real churning in those legs. He's a patient player behind the line of scrimmage, but when a lane opens up, he's decisive and he plants that foot and he gets going. He's got some pretty good explosiveness. Now, 82% of his carries this year came from a zone scheme. So I do think he has to fit in the right offense. But, and don't take this, as if he's absolutely going to become this player for fantasy. But I think this is a very close clone to Kyren Williams. As far as the way that he plays his game, it's eerily similar to Kyren Williams. Now, this isn't a player that's getting a lot of draft hype right now. No one's got him really inside the top 3 or 4 rounds of the NFL draft, but I think he could have a decent combine. He's not really going to blow anyone away with his athleticism. Again, just like Kyren Williams, but I think he can be a solid contributor. There's a little Kenneth Gainwell there. There's a little Kyren Williams, a little Dion Lewis. But in today's NFL, it's a copycat league, right? People are going to try and find their next Kyren Williams. I genuinely think that Blake Watson could be one of the steals of this entire draft. I'm a huge fan of him. Let's keep it on the low, okay? But now you know. Now you know. All right, let's talk about a wide receiver that's rising up my rankings that, again, why is no one talking about this player? Javon Baker out of UCF. I'll tell you why no one's talking about him. I think it's because this class is chocked full of size, speed athletes, and that's what Javon Baker is. He's a size, speed athlete. So let's hope it stays that way. Let's hope no one's talking about him so we can, get some sleepers that we really like. He's my wide receiver 15 right now in my rankings. That might sound low, but when you take into context how deep this wide receiver class is, I like 20 players in this class at the wide receiver position. I genuinely like them. I think they could all be contributors. So he's a very enticing player. He had an 84.3 PFF receiving grade, which was 24th amongst wide receivers with at least 50 targets. He had over 1,100 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns this year with UCF. A player who has great pedigree, former 4-star recruit, transferred out of Alabama to UCF about 2 years ago. But, we keep talking about who's the next Puka Nacua. There's not another Puka Nacua. I've told you guys who my next Jaden Reed is before. You've probably seen that video. But how about the next Rashee Rice? I think this could be my Rashee Rice of the 2023 season. A athlete, size, speed, a little bit bulky at 210 pounds. But more importantly, what he does after the catch is what reminds me of Rashee Rice. Get the ball in his hands. Let him make some explosive plays in the open field. He's a great athlete. He's got that make your man miss ability. He had a 7.2 yards after the catch per reception mark in 2023, which was 35th, again, with that 50 target qualifier. He's got great speed in the open field. He can stress defenses vertically, so you can't really leave him in one-on-ones because he's going to beat you down the field. He's got a decent release package. There's a base to work with there. He's got pretty good late hands over the shoulder type of catches, and he's a very good contested catcher. He caught 9 of 16 contested catch opportunities. That was 56.3%. At minimum, you want your prospects to be, at that 40% marker. So now, similar to Rashee Rice, has some drop issues. 10.3% drop rate, which ranked 214th amongst wide receivers with at least 50 targets. That is not a good number at all. But again, same with Rashee Rice. But Rashee Rice went to the perfect system, a system that knew how to use him after the catch. I think that we could see a similar thing for Javon Baker. Now, also similar to Rashee Rice, very limited route tree. A lot of room to grow as a route runner. And he's not one of these guys in this class that's going to manipulate a bunch of defenders. There's not going to be a whole lot of double routes or double moves that you'll see in his route tree. It's a very simple go ball slants at this point. But again, the type of athlete that you put in space and let him dominate after the catch. I love me some Javon Baker. Man, I would really encourage you guys to go watch some film on some of these names. I can't show you film because, YouTube's going to take it down, but really exciting player. All right, the third player I'm going to talk to you guys about, and I genuinely only have heard one person in the draft community talk about this name. But as I was going through my third wave of scouting, he stood out big time. That is Isaac Horrendo. It might be Isaac Gurendo. Keep hearing people say it a different way. I think Horrendo sounds freaking awesome, so I'm going to call him Isaac Horrendo. Any Louisville fans out there can correct me if I am inevitably going to be wrong, but 6'1", 225 pounds. He's a big body with some pretty good explosiveness. He is a senior, played most of his time at Wisconsin, but transferred to Louisville before the 2023 season. Everything about Isaac's film was better than expected. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. This is not a player that I had a lot of high expectations for, but every time I watched him, I was like, damn, you know what? I did not expect him to be that good at that area of playing the running back position. Let's talk about it. PFF run grade this year was 90.3, which was 23rd best in the nation. He had a 6.1 yards per attempt marker, which was 25th best. Some nice numbers right there. He's got next level physicality. You are going to feel the contact from Isaac in that ice tub for a week. He's not going to let you get away without feeling it if you're going to try and bring him down. He's got unexpected elusiveness at his size. Again, we're talking about a guy at 6'1", 225, and he looks every bit of that size. You do not expect him to be able to plant, cut, juke, explode the way that he does. He has way more wiggle and make your man miss ability than I personally anticipated seeing. He's got better than expected speed. Again, we keep saying better than I anticipated, but honestly, better than anticipated speed. You know, he's nowhere near the fastest running back in this class. Like, that would just be silly to say, but it's extremely enticing when you consider the size and the speed at 6'1", 225 and that speed. I mean, that is, I'm not going to say rare, but that is a player that can be a serious contributor in a backfield. 48.6 breakaway percentage, which was 18th best. When we look at that qualifier, he's got a deadly cutback behind the line of scrimmage, kind of that one cut and burst through the hole type of running back. Shuffles his weight really well between, the tackles, and he fights through contact just as good as any sleeper in this class. He has a 4.11 yards after contact per attempt, which was 14th best when we look at those qualifiers that we talked about. You better tackle this guy when you get him in space, or he can hit the edge and kind of make you pay for it. So when I look at what sort of NFL player he could be compared to, I'll tell you his ceiling comp. I'm seeing a lot of David Montgomery, guys. The kind of thunder to someone's lightning. A guy that you can give 15 to 20 to 25 carries a game. And if there's another dynamic back, pass catching threat in that backfield, that could be a dangerous combo. So don't be surprised. I mean, I've thought about him going to Tennessee and pairing up with Tajay Spears. I would absolutely love that. I've thought about him going to Tampa Bay and pairing up with Rachaad White. A little thunder to someone's lightning. Now, obviously, we want those guys to thrive on their own, but Isaac could be an important piece of a backfield. A little David Montgomery, a little Tyler Algier. Now, the floor is very low. Think about Deneric Prince last year. I know I like Deneric Prince. He was an undrafted guy, but he just tested through the roof. I think we're going to see some pretty good testing numbers from Isaac at the combine. Now, here's what I will say is, even though he's a fifth-year senior, there is not a lot of tread, because oftentimes we associate, fifth-year senior, late breakout, or late player, late declare. That's normally a flag in a lot of people's profiles, specifically people who are, spreadsheet guys. And nothing wrong with that. But I think there's more context here that's important. Yes, he's a fifth-year senior, but there's a difference between Blake Corum being a senior and Isaac Orindo being a senior. For example, Isaac has 231 career attempts in his entire career. Blake Corum had 445 more career attempts than Isaac in one less year. 231 career attempts, that is less than what Cody Schrader had this year alone. So there's not a lot of tread on these tires. I think he can absolutely contribute to an organization from day one. Hey guys, if you enjoy this video, let me know. I mean, it's not as structured as other videos. It's really just me bringing my scouting thoughts and, along with some research. I'd love to know your guys' opinions in the comment section below. But before I get into the last couple names, I just want to let you guys know a quick, easy way that you can support this channel. That's by supporting us on the Flock Fantasy website using the promo code LAND. That'll get you 30% off. It will also give you access to our 2024 rookie report. Some of these names are going to be added in V3 that's going to release in March. So if you want access to V3 of our 2024 rookie report, if you want access to a Dynasty team review, all that, then go ahead and use our promo code LAND. Check out the pinned comment below. But let's get back to this video. And the fourth name, I think everyone knows this name, but I don't think many people are actually taking it seriously. That's why he's on this video. And I do think there's some upside. In Superflex leagues, We should be taking Spencer Rattler a little bit more seriously, in my opinion. It's a very good quarterback class. Very good quarterback class. So he gets lost in it a little bit. Gets lost in the sauce. But he's my quarterback 7. I did move him above Michael Pratt very comfortably after the Senior Bowl. We're talking about the guy who was a Senior Bowl MVP, went out and balled, and I think absolutely improved his draft capital. I think he's a second-round pick at this point. So don't give me hate for this, but I think there could be, that's the key word here, could be something special for Spencer Rattler. Now, he's improved a lot in the last couple of years, specifically as a leader and his maturity, his mindset. He is not the same kid that he was when there was cameras shoved in his face as a 17-year-old guy on that Netflix show. He's a different person now. You can see that in interviews. But when we talk about God-given talent, that defines Spencer Rattler's profile. It's all the things that you just cannot teach, right? The arm talent is honestly elite. It is. I'm not even afraid to come out and say that. I think there are probably 6 to 7 quarterbacks in the NFL today that have his type of arm talent. We're talking about, a quarterback. There is no throw that he cannot make. The bullet over the middle of the field, the touch floater off of the back foot, the deep bomb, the sideline dart. There's no limitations as to what is possible with his arm. There was a throw versus Florida this year when I was watching this film where he had pressure in his face, and off of his back foot, the guy's like doing a step back 3. He threw a 50-yard bomb for a huge game. It's just ridiculous that he was able to do that. He's got a quick release, which allows the plays, kind of to develop. And then he's got more time for a play to develop than your average quarterback because of that quick release. He's dangerous on the run. He can contort his body in different weird ways to make these throws on the run. And he played constantly under pressure. Not many people are going to talk about that. The amount of pressure that Spencer faced. Yes, his numbers aren't going to blow you away, but keep in mind, he was pressured 186 times, which was 4th most in the nation this year. His pocket presence improved vastly over the last couple of years at South Carolina. Now, I'm not going to only tell you the good parts about his game. There are clearly some serious concerns. First one being, and we're going to talk about a lot about what playing the quarterback position means, but the first one is he does not consistently read a defense. I'm not sure if he's just playing too much hero ball or if he just really doesn't read defenses at all, but there are so many plays where you're like, what were you thinking there, man? You didn't need to force that throw. He makes poor decisions too often. He doesn't anticipate his throws, which concerns me a little bit. It shows a low football IQ at times. And at times he can rely on that arm talent a little bit too much. But what I'm trying to say ultimately, guys, is he has the kind of talent that 99.9% of this world dream of having. If he goes to the right system and, he's just this ball of clay that a coach can, design into something beautiful, I think we should be excited about that. For example, if he goes to LA with the Rams and he sits behind Matthew Stafford and hangs with Sean McVay for a year, that's the kind of scenario that really, really excites me. And the last name that not many people are talking about, I think they should, that is Slick Ricky Pearsall. Out of Florida, we're talking about a guy who, going a little bit under the radar before the Senior Bowl, has a nice Senior Bowl performance, 6'1", 192 pounds. He's not going to be high on many people's boards because of his age. He's 23 years old. But we're talking about a really well-rounded player. I see a lot of Adam Thielen in his game. Very good route runner. Very good hands. He caught almost 74% of his targets this year and 50% of his contested catches. He made one of the most ridiculous catches in college football this year. This one-handed catch between 3 players where he got knocked out. Absolutely crazy. He's got an expanded route tree. Again, a little Adam Thielen there. You can see him out of the slot. He played 56% of his snaps this year in the slot. Good technique. You can see he's been brought up around some really, really good coaching. Now, there is limited yak appeal, and there's not a lot of film versus press coverage, but he's going to play in the slot in the NFL. I see a lot of Adam Thielen. I see a lot of Tyler Boyd. Do not be surprised if Slick Ricky doesn't get out of the second round of the NFL draft. I know it's a very deep wide receiver class, but he is one of those guys that I think could surprise people. You know, the way Jaden Reed went in the second round, that kind of surprise. I think this could happen with Ricky Pearsall. Do not sleep on him. He's a very well-rounded player. He can step in day one and contribute. So, I loved Michael Wilson last year. We loved Puka Nacua. I'm not going to say he's Puka Nacua, but he, to me, is one of those names that's like, yeah, he could contribute straight away. Put him on the Patriots. He's the best receiver they have, I believe from day one. So be on the lookout for those 5 names. Not many people are talking about them, so I wanted to tell you guys about them. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. All up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.